Hello, everybody. Welcome to the night crew. We are back with our whole gang of good-looking, exciting, intelligent people on the panel. So welcome, everybody. Good to see you again. And I hope everybody's been paying attention to the news because there's a lot of stuff going on. And some of it makes sense and some of it doesn't. So let's jump in and see what we can get into. What do you say? First of all, a killing of Muslim boy outside of Chicago was a hate crime. An Illinois landlord accused of fatally stabbing a 6-year-old Muslim boy and seriously wounding his mother was charged with a hate crime after police and relatives said he singled out the victims because of their faith and as a response to the war between Israel and Hamas. In recent days, police in U.S. cities and federal authorities have been on high alert for violence driven by anti-Semitic or Islamophobic sentiments. FBI officials, along with Jewish and Muslim groups, have reported an increase of hateful and threatening rhetoric. Detectives were able to determine that both victims in this brutal attack were targeted by the suspect due to them being Muslim and the ongoing Middle Eastern conflict involving Hamas and the Israelis, their statement said. Now, this is sad. This guy, just because they were Muslims, he decided they needed to be killed. And he took it upon himself to do the killing. And this, as bad as this sounds, unfortunately, a lot of things like this are taking place around the world because of this Israel-Hamas things. I mean, a lot of people are committing hate crimes and protesting and just doing all kinds of stuff to state they're in favor of or against what's going on. So it's going to be one of those divisive issues where, nobody can agree on what's right and what's wrong. Just everybody believes what they believe. And if you believe anything else, then you're evil and you need to be stifled or killed or something. So it's a mess. So who wants to jump on that one first? Go ahead, Michael.
Well, as a presidential candidate, I feel deeply affected about this on both sides with the Palestinians and the Israelis. It's the failure of leadership that led up to this failure of protection, of trying to find peace on both sides. I just believe that what my grandmother taught me growing up, 2 wrongs don't make it right. I know, there's no condoning what happened that Saturday when all those Israelis died and families died, got shot in the streets and everything like that. You can't condone that. But here's the thing. In order to find peace, you have to look at the starting points of what led up to this point. And to ignore that and just go off the emotions of the moment, and then it's okay to attack. I heard stories from the powerful Israeli people, even powerful Israeli people that's not even in power now, that said this is wrong. 2 wrongs don't make it right. The end results of how the Palestinians back then in 47, when Britain and Germany and the United States and other powers gave the Jewish people Israel, that state, and put them in that area of Palestine. Instead of finding a way of a 2-party state, they haven't. It was they would, but they haven't. It's more so trying to eradicate the indigenous people that were there before. Now they can say And this is biblical. And I as a person, I know there's certain things I shouldn't say, but as a human being, I have to just speak my mind on this. Benjamin Netanyahu got on interview and saying 3,300 years ago, um, Jewish people used to, that area, the Israel used to own back then, but it was taken away. If you read the Bible for a reason, and so all I can say is it's got to be the problem. What we're seeing now is just the failure of trying to find a two-state peaceful solution, and the attacks on the Palestinians, and the world has ignored it, and the news has blocked it for us to know what's going on. And then the attack that happened on Saturday, which is tremendous, and there's no excuse, but we're all humans. And I just feel like we should treat each other as such. And the Holy Land, you know what I'm saying? Israel's got the powerful military in the Middle East and whatever, it's the Holy Land. And there's a way, there should have been a way to find peace before all this started right now. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I agree. Tamala?
In the U.S., we've been having hate crimes for years, and you have to, just to hear this baby couldn't even defend himself, 6 years old, this baby. And he had to lose his life because of what somebody, they looking at what he believed. So what? When we came to the United States, when people left King George, they came here for freedom. They came here because they wanted the freedom to do and believe whatever. And that's why this place, when I was a teenager, we used to call this place the melting pot.
Yeah.
I guess people forget what the melting pot is, because it seemed like we're going backwards instead of going forward. We're going backwards because it was only a few years ago in the 60s when it was color only, white only. It was just in the 60s. And so it seemed like we're just going backwards to hatred, because when I was a teenager, it was the melting pot. Everybody was loving on each other. Oh, I'm so glad about your background. Oh, I love your culture. I love what you do and what you bring to the table and all that stuff. And here it is, this war is going on over there. And now everybody want to take it upon themselves and say, oh, let me fight in this war. If you want to fight in a war, go over there, take your behind on an airplane and go fight in the war. But why bring it here in the United States? So that's the issue I had. It don't make no sense to hurt somebody because you mad at what's going on the other side.
Exactly.
I want to say this right quick, but in France and Germany, they're blocking Palestinians who support what's going on, not support what happened in Israel, but support the overallness that led up to the attacks and overall. They're blocking them for even protesting. Only in America, we're allowing it. You know what I'm saying? Palestinians to go out there and everybody to speak. And I just want to say that just to make sure if people was not aware of that.
Yeah, they had a big protest outside the White House a couple of days ago, didn't they? Or maybe it did today too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they did. But I'm saying over in France and in Germany and even Great Britain, they've stopped people who are sympathetic for the Palestinians to go out there and protest the same way here in America. They stopped that. They're attacking them. They're locking them up, but not here in America.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that's happening. I mean, the people that's out there protesting. Let me say this: the people that's out there protesting is not. Let me just say this: the people that's out there protesting is not out there supporting what happened that Saturday for 1,300 Israelis to get killed, women, men, and children. It's not that. It's just what led up to. If you want peace, then let's start from where it really began. Really work out the difficulties, because we have a person that's supposed to be the leadership of the Israeli government that's hooked up with corruption and everything like that, and has stripped the judiciary from the Israeli people during the summer. So this all of a sudden come up, and I hope to God that I'm wrong about this, but usually I'm right about these things. But I hope that Benjamin Netanyahu hasn't used the opportunity for this tragedy for him to only keep power. Because you know what I'm saying? Think about it. Because if since this happened, he doesn't have to worry about the corruption charges or nothing like that. After doing what he did to erase the judiciary powers to say that Israel is no longer a democracy. And then this happened. So put two and two together, people.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
you. Angela?
Well, I just wanted to say that here they've been protesting here too. I seen some people standing out with signs, but we in America we have this right to speak and to say what we want to say, and freedom of speech, and everybody think they're right. Nobody can accept when they're wrong and bow down. Everybody wants to be right, and everybody wants their right to be the only right. So you have people that believe in what they believe in, and they stand wholeheartedly on it, and they would die for it, and they would kill for it. We're seeing that, and it's sad. It is sad, and I hope that everyone that does something that hurt somebody, I hope that they all get what they deserve, because that was just wrong. That was an innocent baby that didn't do nothing to nobody, regardless of what nationality he is or what his parents believe. And it's sad. And we're probably going to see a lot more cases like this. And just imagine how many that have not even been brought to our attention that has happened. It's sad. And we definitely need prayer. And we definitely need somebody that's going to stand up and say, okay, enough is enough. How can we get to a resolve? Like, really, what is going on with the UN and the people that usually bring peace? Why we ain't got that going on right now?
I think they're just kind of waiting
Mr.
to see what
President
happens.
candidate.
Well, actually, I knew you when you said that. I feel like it was directed towards me, so I don't mind answering that for 30 seconds. The reason why is because you have, well, you got to remember Russia is the head of the UN Security Council, right? They control everything with that. We can't do nothing. So we did that from a time in the 20th century. Things have changed. We're in the 21st century. So we have leaders now here in America. It's thinking in the 20th century way of thinking. But it cannot handle or solve our 21st century problems. And until we have that change, nobody, if we can't have that change, nobody's like me. I mean, I'm change. I believe I am that change. And as how I'm talking, how I'm seeing everything, I'm talking about the 21st century, about the problems now, what we see now. Call it out. If you want peace, then hold back for 40, 30, 50, 100 years or whatever it is. Call it out now, because a lot of people are waking up to the promise now, but we don't have leaders speaking up until me. So I just think that it's leadership that still hold on to the old viewage of how we should do things, currently what's going on, and it's wrong. And most of the world is against it. And it's kind of like weird. It's like America and Israel is like by itself in front of the world. Well, you got the British and you got this and that, but they're quiet. Like, really, why are we still like supporting this kind of format? The Palestinians should have the same inalienable rights as American and the free world displayed to everybody else. And in the Holy Land, as we see it, it's not being displayed, and we're just in the aircraft carriers and whatever like that. I understand that's for warning everybody else, but America, Joe Biden should have stepped up and say, "Look, this is what's going on. America should have died, had died, during the conflict. If I was president, I would have sent peacekeeping troops in there, 20,000, in between the Hamas and the Israeli military, so they won't fight, and we go get our people and trying to calm everything down. That's what I would have done. But this right here, cutting off the food, the water, and all that, that's a war crime. And as friends with Israel, the government, not the people, as friends, we should step up and say this is wrong, and we need to correct it.
Yeah, and Blinken spent 7 hours with Netanyahu yesterday, I think it was. And President Biden is going over there to see Netanyahu tomorrow.
Surprisingly.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens after that. Lamar, what do you say, brother?
Well, looking at this article, I find it interesting that the person who did the murder is the landlord.
Yeah.
You know, he knew the person, he knew the family. So what else was going on there that he singled this family out? He knew who they were. And that's a relationship there. With most other things, everything's a relationship. But he knew these people. So it's one thing to say it's a hate crime, but he knew these people.
Yeah.
So that's what's sad about it. But speaking of the country, the country is a hate crime. The beginning of this country is a hate crime. So, it was mentioned earlier how this country started. This country is a hate crime. But clearly, I'm sorry, Steve, go ahead.
The whole concept of a hate crime seems strange to me. I mean, if somebody commits a murder, does it really matter if they say they love the person or hate the person that killed? They still killed them. So I don't really understand why that makes a crime any more heinous or whatever, just because there's hate involved. I've never understood that.
Well, with this gentleman, from what I've seen, it seems like he was still stuck on the past beliefs. That's all. He was stuck on the past beliefs of hate and fear, and the same boogeyman tactics that the current leadership on the party that he is following, or in the Republican Party, is spreading that hate. And he's like, he had enough of it, and then he just acted on the emotions, not the facts.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that he stabbed that little boy 26 times, obviously he was caught up in emotions, I mean, it had to be.
It had to be emotion. It was definitely emotion. It wasn't fact. With facts, he wouldn't even. Yeah. It would be is emotion. Most of these people with the hate and the color and all is emotion. It's not based on facts. It's always emotion.
Yeah.
Right, but that was his motivation, was hate.
Yeah, hate. That's an emotion.
Yeah.
Right.
And pretty much everybody in prisons right now are there probably because there was a moment that they got caught up in their emotions, their passion, their hate, or their greed, or something.
And all the lies that that Donald Trump and the Republicans, the McCarthy and Jim Jordan, all the rest of them, and then the impeachment, trying to make Biden look bad. That all plays into a part of that. The fear, the like, we can't trust them, and they're all traitors, and they're all this and that. But really, they're on the same side they're on, and it's sad they don't realize it. They're waking up. A lot of them waking up now, thank God. But still, there's millions still Like, I know there's over 70 million still holding on to Trump and his beliefs and everything else that's causing a rift and division that we have now.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. U.S. sends second aircraft carrier to East Mediterranean to deter Iran Hezbollah. The United States has sent a second aircraft carrier strike group to the Eastern Mediterranean to deter hostile actions against Israel or any efforts toward widening this war following Hamas attack, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin said Saturday. The USS Eisenhower and its affiliated warships will join another carrier group, USS Ford, already deployed to the region in the wake of the brutal Hamas onslaught a week ago and Israel's ongoing response in Gaza. The deployment signals Washington's ironclad commitment to Israel's security and our resolve to deter any state or non-state actor seeking to escalate this war. Austin said in a statement, presumably referring to Iran and Lebanon's Hezbollah terror group. Yeah, Biden has said over and over that we are 100% in it with Israel. He used the word solidarity yesterday and today. We in solidarity with what Israel is doing and their right to defend themselves. And yes, they have a right to defend themselves, but a lot of people are comparing the tactics that Hamas used Saturday to the tactics that Netanyahu is implementing now, targeting citizens instead of the military. And so, there's a lot of people comparing that, and I can see their points. This is a war between Netanyahu's government and Hamas. But unfortunately, it's the Palestinian people and the Israeli people are paying the price. But that's the way wars go. All right, Lamar, you want to go first on this one?
I agree with you, Steve. No one's fighting fair. And, I've spoken, the other day about how I feel, regarding the Israelis and where they came from, but I just don't see them as the shiny light on the hill in any aspect. I'm sorry that they were shelled on Saturday and that many of their citizens were killed, but the retaliation doesn't seem to be that they learned a lesson. Now it's more of like a tit for tat. You shelled my citizens, so I'm going to show your citizens, and I'm going to use my military against your citizens, even though I have the U.S. military behind me, and I'm still going to, attack your citizens and not your military. So, and it's always been that way. The Israelis have always attacked Palestinian people directly, and it's, I have the biggest stick, and I'm going to beat you over the head with it, and that's just what we do, and that's how we're always going to be. Whether we're taking your water, taking your food, taking your land, this is just what we do. This is our MO, and I'll leave it there.
All right, I agree with you, Angela.
Well, I definitely I agree with you. I just I don't know. It's just like tit for tat, like you say, tit for tat, tit for tat. And it's just sad that all these people are losing their lives. You know, man, I don't know. I don't know.
It's definitely sad. It really is. Tamala?
I've been watching the different international news just to see if I can get some more information of what's really, really going on because sometimes United States don't have all the information. So according to the international news, they said Hamas is a terrorist group that's different from the Palestinians. And they said this is the reason why Egypt refused to help because they want to help the Palestinians, but they're afraid that the terrorist group will come in. And so they're trying to figure out how to help the Palestinians and protect them without the terrorist group coming in because I forget what year it was. It was just recently that Hamas became their leader. And when they asked the Palestinians, they asked them, did they want them to be their leader? They said no, but they had no choice. I was like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. And so this is why Egypt is not helping because it's a lot going on. And then United States is afraid that the other Muslims are going to jump in because somebody had lied. So I think New York Times, somebody had lied and said, oh yeah, Iran and all of them, they about to jump in. And there's no proof of saying it. So a lot of people saying stuff and they need to stop instigating because that's what they're doing. They throwing stuff out there. Also, the international news said that there is no proof that a lot of children were beheaded, even though our own president said it, but they said there is no proof. So it's like everybody's saying this and that, but it's a lot going on. And I just wish people would just be honest and just tell the truth and quit trying to escalate things. So that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, thanks.
Well,
Michael?
you said a mouthful right there, Apostle, when you said about the news in America, the U.S. Yeah, we always want to give a different side and not always tell the truth. So I definitely I agree with you on that.
Appreciate it. But how I see it overall, what's currently going on, like I said, Benjamin Netanyahu is corrupt, and corrupt people do desperate things. Look at President Trump, right? They compared President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu is as the same, and I just think that from what I've heard, the intelligence reports from Egypt a month before the attacks, they tried to warn him, and it went silent, dead ears. And when the attack happened early on, if y'all remember, they said that from our intelligence that we didn't know. That was the first thing they came out with. We didn't know. But when Egypt said that we warned Benjamin Netanyahu about the attack, now they're saying, yeah, oh yeah, we did hear about it, but we didn't know the relativity of the, you know what I'm saying, the attack. I mean, they're right next door. They're practicing doing all this. They got paragliders and weapons that is not from Russia, but from America. And hold on for a second. The weird thing about all this is the weapons are for America. The attack seems like was warned a month before, you know. So if they investigate what the Egypt had warn Israel, warn Benjamin Netanyahu's government intelligence, which is the best intelligence in the Middle East ever. Period. So how could that big attack would happen? I think, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think Benjamin Netanyahu allowed the attack to happen. He allowed it to happen. He weakened the Israeli defenses in areas where they can come across. And I've also heard back when Benjamin Netanyahu was in power that he helped Hamas to gain power in Palestine, in the West Bank. He backed Hamas. You know what I'm saying? And after the Hamas took power, there was no voting to remove. Like the Palestinian people didn't have any power to remove Hamas. So it just seems like how everything's gonna lead up or led up or whatever. My gut feeling is it's been a setup from the very beginning to paint the Palestinian people in the same light as terrorists, as Hamas, as Benjamin Netanyahu set up Hamas within the Palestinian Authority. And if you don't believe me, I've looked at this stuff and I've seen it, and it's disturbing. And if it is what it is, our government currently doing what they're doing, sending aircraft carriers over there, is truly in the wrong. And as president, we're gonna have to make a change from that.
You think we're going to do pretty much like we are Ukraine? You know, we give them all kinds of weapons and money. Now it seems like we're going to do the same thing with Israel.
Well, Ukraine and Israel are two different things. Ukraine happened because Russia invaded a sovereign country that was peaceful. There was no animosity like what's going on between Hamas and Israeli government, between Benjamin Netanyahu. So this is totally two different things.
Yeah, but we're treating them the same. Is what I'm saying.
Well, it's wrong.
Yeah.
We shouldn't do that. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. And our leadership has failed informing our people of the realities of which of the divisions of what's really going on between Ukraine and Israel and Palestine. So it's not the same. But we're just not telling the real truths about it. And I as president, I can't do that. I can't just continue the same lie or the same made up whatever. I can't do it.
All righty. Anything else anybody got on that one? Okay. Let's see what's next. Here we go. King Charles III says the attack on Israel was a barbaric act of terrorism. King Charles has said he is appalled after an attack on Israel by Hamas terrorists last week. The king also described the invasion of southern Israel by the terror group as a barbaric act of terrorism. Israel has vowed unprecedented retaliation against Hamas after they stormed through the Gaza border fence on Saturday and shot hundreds of Israelis in their homes, on the streets, and at an outdoor music festival. In a statement on Wednesday afternoon, Buckingham Palace went on to say that Charles was said to be extremely concerned about the situation. A lot of people don't realize it, but King Charles, was his mother, Queen Elizabeth, and now him, has a lot of power worldwide. I'm talking about political clout. They're billionaires. They ran in the same circles as all the other royal families, billionaires around the world. And I know as a king, really, it's like you don't have any day-to-day power over what transpires in the streets and things like that, like you normally would think a king would in olden times. But he really does have a lot of say on what goes on in world politics. So it's interesting, to stay tuned and see what he does and what he says. So, Tamala, would you like to go first?
King Charles.
Ooh wee. Let me tell you, he does has a lot of power because there's still countries today paying him to make sure all his buildings still stay and have all his people, and he still have that control. They still give all their money to him, and they better. And when his mother left this earth, a lot of them did some protesting, and they said we don't want to pay you anymore. But I don't think that has stopped. So when it comes to this, I'm looking at it like, because if we be honest, there's some things they have done, if we be honest. And I'm gonna leave it like that because I ain't trying to get in trouble.
All righty. Lamar.
King Charles is a racist bigot, and that's just speaking from his own family. But I want to say within 3 weeks of him becoming the royal pain in the ass, he was asked about the how was the question put to him? He was asked about slavery and Britain's part in it, and he basically walked away and said that England had no part in it. And so even he does not want to acknowledge facts that what England has done, not even the fact that, there's been African queens in England. So, I have as much faith in this bigot. He has no say so. No, he's not credible at all. Whether he's going to call anybody a terrorist, what is England? They're terrorists as well. It used to be said that the sun never sets on British territory. What is colonialism? Bunch of terrorists. So until they go ahead and give back every piece of territory and pay restitution for everything that they've done, England is a terrorist, barbaric terrorist organization, and he's the head of it, just like ISIS. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Any world leader
I totally agree.
King Charles, no matter what he says. They may not always agree with him, but I guarantee you they will listen attentively and they will treat him with respect. Go ahead, somebody was saying something.
King or not, he's still he is a bigot to his own family, and he's a bigot to the people that he rules over. England is a barbaric terrorist organization, the same as it's not even the same as ISIS. They're worse than ISIS. The King James Bible is part of their propaganda.
Come on,
nothing. That's part of their propaganda. That's why it's in every church around the world. Part of King James propaganda. Mm-hmm. But like I said earlier, I'll leave that alone. That's it from me.
No, when I say come on, that means I agree with you. That's what that means. But yeah, I totally agree with what you and Tamala, Apostle Tamala, have said. Um, so yeah, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah, yeah, this is um I you know oh God. I
You
realize
want to be
certain things.
friends with him, Michael?
No. Certain
Come
things
on,
as a
Michael.
president. Wait.
Come
Excuse
on,
me.
Michael.
Let me speak. As a presidential candidate
I
to
know. I'm
represent the
glad.
whole country with different people and different beliefs, I have to be careful what I say. But overall, what you both have said in many instances, I do agree. But there's an overallness within the government of England, of England, the leaders are not doesn't represent the people what they believe. So I kind of stand on what the British people believe in change and everything like that, but not the leadership. Now, well, you're right about the leadership part of it, yes. But the overall is thinking is the people that's really backing it. No, I mean the most majority of people are really on our side, and most of the world is really in unison. Um, you know, we're all human beings, and what's going on right now, from what King George is saying right now, um, is outside the understanding of the plight of of what we as the world are facing, and it's a paradigm shift is about to happen. And you have the older generation with all this power and all this don't want that change to happen. And that's what they're doing. They're doing what they're doing. But we of this generation have to step up even more to take more control, more power, to show more resolve of the truths that we are living through on every level. To show that, look, y'all people that are older, you're trying to hold on to something and y'all about to die. Y'all about to get out of here. And whatever you do and leave something worse off, we got to live through it. We got to try to fix your mess. You're dead. Doesn't really matter, but we got to try to fix it. And that's what's currently going on. It's a paradigm shift within the world on every level, on every facet of the problems that we face. That the lack of leadership, the lack of the right people that can bring us all together, the lack of understanding the plight of all people in every country. If we don't have somebody that can understand that and bring us all together, we're gonna fall together. Doesn't matter about black, white, Republican, Democrat, United States, or Iran, or Israel, or Saudi Arabia, or every other country, Russia, China. If we can't find a way of real leadership to come together, we're gonna fall hard of what we're currently going through right now.
Yeah, I believe things are going to get worse before they get better. I hate to say it, but I believe that's the case.
It's not going to happen because I believe that there's a change coming, and the people are waiting for it. But if there's no change coming, then we're going to just fall suit or fall victim or fall to the so-called truths, the so-called lies, or whatever. And like you said, Steve, yeah, we're gonna fall that way. But I believe a real change will come soon to awaken the American spirit like no other time that we have ever experienced. And I believe I have a hand in that with my story.
Well, the minister in me is getting ready to come out, but I'm going to tell you that the only thing that's going to fix this crazy old world when the Lord Jesus Christ himself comes back and fixes it. Now, that's fact.
I agree with that, and that's how it's supposed to work. But also, the good Lord has the power to use one of us to work in His favor, to work through His plan. That's how the Lord works. He doesn't work like He steps in and just steps in and we all follow Him. He's walking around like a ghost or whatever. He works through us, and I believe I'm part of that. and you and others and everybody else that's on the side of trying to save our democracy and try to bring the world together from the evil that's plaguing the world.
Yeah, we all do what we can, but as far as just fixing the entire world, only he can do that. All right, next one. Man gets stabbed when he offers a Bible to a man. A 32-year-old man pulled into a racetrack gas station on 45th Street Tuesday morning and saw a man yelling and acting irrationally with a woman. Wishing to help the distressed man, he approached the 33-year-old Marco Colon to speak about religion, Jesus, and gift a white miniature Bible to him. Almost immediately upon talking with irrationally acting man, a knife was pulled. Colon allegedly lodged the knife in the 32-year-old's neck. The victim stumbled back, running inside the gas station for help, where employees tended to him and called paramedics. The unidentified man was taken as a trauma alert to the St. Mary's Medical Center, where he later provided a crucial statement to West Palm Beach Police Department officers making Colon's arrest. Now here's a man that was really trying to do something good, doing some ministry work, giving a man a Bible, talk to him about the Lord. Oh, I've done that a million times downtown myself, but I've never been stabbed for it yet. So, my heart goes out to this guy that was trying to do something good, and this guy goes berserk on him and tries to kill him. So, don't get me wound up on that. Who wants to talk about that first? Go ahead, Angela. Angela? Angela, you must not be. I don't know what's going on, and I don't hear you, but I see your lips moving.
Who
It
did you say?
doesn't look like you're muted.
Oh, okay.
I heard that.
Basically, man. I think people don't want to hear the word. Go
ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No, I can hear you.
Okay, I was just saying that it's sad. It's a sad day. Where he was just basically trying to offer him some words of encouragement, give him a little Jesus, just share with him. It's sad. That's a lot of the reason why a lot of people will not help people when they see people in distress because of situations like this. But my heart goes out to him.
Another thing that seems strange to me about this story, the man was freaking out on this woman, but the guy wanted to go help the man instead of the woman. That seemed a little strange to me also. So I don't know about that part.
I just
he
think
probably
that
was trying to reach the person that was being the aggressor.
Yeah.
That's probably what he was trying to reach the aggressor. I mean, to try to dilute the situation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But anyway, it's sad.
I've played in that situation before. It's similar, not in the same way, but it was a situation where it was my cousin, my first cousin, and her boyfriend. They was fighting, and I got involved, trying to make sure that he doesn't, They was kind of fighting a little bit, and I caught the wrong end of the whole stick. And I wish I never stepped in. And but sometimes you have to keep the peace. But that's the only similarity I have. It just sounds like my story with my cousin to me. So yeah.
Okay, Lamar.
I'm going to pass on this one. I think it's already been covered. I can't add to this.
Okay. All righty. Let's see what's next. Sorry management practices in banks. The report by the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision, published by the Bank for International Settlements earlier this month, provides further insight into the conditions which led to the March and April episode of significant U.S. and global banking stress. Pointing to a large-scale deficiencies in the management practices of the banks involved. A culture of profit-making at all costs without regard to the risk involved. Lack of supervision by regulatory authorities because they lack the resources and in some cases where it was carried out, manifest failures of assessment. The report did not make the point, but it was the occasion for 3 of the 4 largest bank failures in U.S. history. However, it did note that the failures of Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and First Republic triggered a crisis of confidence in the resilience of banks, banking systems, and financial markets across multiple jurisdictions, and that wide-scale public support measures were necessary to mitigate the impact of the stress. When I first read this, I kind of thought, well, so what? It sounds like a lot of business stuff and economic stuff that sounds boring to me. But then I got to thinking, it hadn't been that long, just back in March and April that we were having a big lot of issues with banks closing down. And when that happens, that can really affect a whole lot of people. A lot of people put their life savings in banks, and some people don't have any savings. They just get their Social Security checks into the bank, like me. And, making mistakes or bank closing can really be a horrible thing for people. So when we think about them not doing their job and closing down and causing failures that people get their money, that's really a big deal. And when we talk about it triggering a crisis of confidence in the resilience of banks, that can really scare people. So what do you think about that? We'll get our minds off of the war for a minute. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, overall, it reminds me of when my grandmother back in the 80s couldn't trust banks because of, cheating people and what happened during the 2008 collapse under Bush. There's no guardrails when it comes to the capitalism and everything like that. There's no guardrails, truthfully, supposedly, to make sure it's fair, to make sure that the American people will be treated fairly when it comes to banks and whatnot, and these hidden fees that within banks that have been taking advantage of the American people. Now, at the same time, this fight has been going on since almost the very beginning. President Thomas Jefferson, threatened the bank's charter for 20 years of their continuation to try to involve themselves in politics and change the laws to benefit mostly them, what we're currently going through now. So, when he did that, the bank stepped back. But our leaders from that point have just dropping the ball and allowing the banks and everything like that to take advantage. And as president, I will follow the trend like Thomas Jefferson did back then about their charters, because yeah, you're here in America. You got banks. You're supposed to help the people. You make money, yes, but to take advantage and cheat and steal and fool the people and all that will not be no longer tolerated.
All righty. Pamela?
And that's a lot of what's going on, because you look in the news, you hear these different Wells Fargo opening bank accounts in people's name, and people didn't even know that they had these accounts. And that's a lot of these various banks, and they it's crazy, because it seemed like they give individual, say the bank managers or different people have, they give them so much power. So you look at here in South Carolina, we've had issues where Bank of America would deny a Black person that was well qualified or overly qualified for a home loan, but then you get Caucasian, or even they was doing it to Hispanics. We had a big issue here in South Carolina where they was discriminating on home loans at Bank of America. So it'd be a lot. And then you look at the regulation and how they regulate. You got to go through so much to file a complaint. So people, they get to a point to where they don't even want to do it. So a lot of this stuff go unrecognized and untalked about. But they've been doing this for a long time. And now we're seeing different banks. Wells Fargo's closing up shops. They closing up a lot of banks. They got a couple in Virginia that they're getting ready to close down. But it's been an ongoing problem. If you look at Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and who was the other bank? There's like 3 or 4 banks that they've had issues with deception, and the bankers, the tellers, and all of them taking advantage of the consumers. They have these little contests or these little things where the tellers make money off of the accounts that they bring in. So they was making fraudulent accounts. So we put that in with why a lot of these banks are closing. People don't realize that these people, they really don't have the money right there in. They using our money to do all their little transactions and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They should be giving us theirs instead of us paying them.
And on top of the bailouts that we gave the banks, and where's the end result of that? You know what I'm saying? For us, positively. So.
Yeah. All righty, Tamala.
I'll pass on this.
Okay. Lamar.
I used to be in the banking industry in 2 different levels, and there is a lot of skipping on oversight. And yes, there's a lot of good old boys network in some aspects, but there's a lot of good people in banking, and there's a lot of crookedness. There's a lot of crookedness. A lot of not a lot of people who are about cutting corners, and there's banking in some aspect as a fraud, because when we look at our dollar bill, it's based on nothing. It's not tied to the gold standard, and you can't go to the bank and say, I want to trade this in for hard currency, because it's not based on hard currency. It used to be a nickel. At one point, it was $1. And it's a note that is borrowed from the treasury. It's a treasury note. And it's this is a system that is built to keep American people slaves to the system, because you're never meant to get ahead of the system. And that's a pretty tough statement for people to hear, slaves to the system. But you're always working to get ahead, and you can't, because you're always behind the curve.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just the way the system is built.
Yeah, that's the way it's set up.
That's just the way the system is built.
Yeah.
So, that's all I have to say.
Okay. Michael, you got something else to say on that, brother?
Well, I agree 100%. The system has been blocking new ideas and the real truths of currently what we're going through right now. And but they could try to slow us down. They could try to slow down the dream for all, but you can't kill it. You can't just overall stop it, because we're going to strive to fight like our forefathers before us, to get the truth out. And this is our time. This is our moment. And as long as we know it and we speak it and find common avenues of compromise to figure this thing out without seeing each other as the enemy, as as Americans, not looking at each other as an enemy, then we can overcome, and we can be unstoppable once we become united.
All right. Okay, and last but not least, and this is kind of something we've talked about already, but we'll talk about it a little bit more. Protests are happening all over the world. A week after Palestinians initiated an armed uprising against Israel's blockade of the Gaza Strip, protests are erupting internationally against Israel's war on Gaza. The fascistic regime of Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered 1.1 million Palestinians to flee Gaza City and go south along roads bombed by the Israel Defense Forces. Israel, which has now cut off Gaza's water, fuel, and electricity, and whose leaders call the Palestinians human animals, is targeting the Palestinians for genocide. As the scale of the crimes committed by the Israeli regime and its NATO allies has become clear, protests have erupted around the world in bold disobedience of media denunciations of Palestinians, police intimidation, and protest bans. That's pretty strong language there. Obviously, this website, this author was really thinking that Benjamin Netanyahu was intentionally committing acts of terrorism himself. I mean, ordering it. And, like we said before, that's kind of what he's doing. The war is between Netanyahu's government and Hamas. It's not against the people, Palestinians or the Israelis. But that's who is turning out to be the casualties. And as we all know, in war, they talk about collateral damage as if it's no big deal. But it's always a big deal. It's always human lives. So I guess that's all I have to say about that one. Who's first?
I would like to say that Benjamin Netanyahu, like I said earlier in the earlier broadcast when we started speaking about this whole conflict, he's is held up with corruption. And what happened during the summer with the people, and now this happened, it only seems logical that he allowed, from the evidence that the Egyptian intelligence agencies had warned Benjamin Netanyahu's government that an attack was imminent. They had a month to investigate, but our government said that at first we didn't know nothing about it. Later on, 3 days later after it came out, that's when they said, yeah, we did, but we didn't know this was going to happen. So they all knew. Israel, the head of the Israeli government knew this attack was allowed in order for the justification to annex the people of Palestine in the West Bank and in Gaza, especially in Gaza, because there's no way that this attack would happen the way it happened unless on Saturday. And what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to excuse or like take favor over Hamas. Hamas is a dangerous factor, not in the interest of the Palestinians. Just like the Benjamin Netanyahu's government is not for the Israeli people. And there's a lack. The reason why we're seeing this is the lack of leadership on both sides, and America has to step up and say, look, we see, the historical nature of everything. And yes, it's our fault from years from neglect, saying, yes, sign these agreements, the Abraham Accords and this accord and that accord. But look where we're at now. So now is the time to step up after 23 Americans have died and put our own troops in there and be a barrier between the Israeli government and their forces from going into Gaza and taking out Hamas out of the Palestinian Authority. Not saying going there with tanks, but going there like with our Marines and our special forces secretly, so without special forces, we could take over the whole Gaza Strip in less than a week or 2 weeks. But it's just the hatred that Benjamin Netanyahu is not the people of Israel. It's not the people of Palestine. It's the governments of each that has led up to this point. And we have to use love, courage, and understanding about this to make a change, to tell the truth, to make a resolving, resolutionary choice on trying to find a peaceful solution in that part of the world.
All right.
I hope I sound right about that.
Yeah.
I hope I sound right. I hope I sound about balanced about that, but that's how I feel deep in my heart. Bombs shouldn't be going off. Water, food, electricity should be cut back on. You shouldn't tell people to leave their own homeland. And I see it as an excuse for Benjamin Netanyahu to do that. And as president, I will not allow that to happen.
Mark?
Yeah, you shouldn't be telling people to leave their own homeland. That's what we talked about before. Ever since these people came from Poland, Germany, and Russia, the Palestinians have been told to leave their own homeland. And so in the article, it says, as the scale of the crimes committed by the Israeli regime and its NATO allies has become clear. Well, it was clear back in 1947 when the land was taken from the Palestinians. Now, continuously, the statement I made before, the analogy I gave was, if you continue to rape my daughter and my wife, how much longer am I going to take it? I know a few people made the claim to me that I was a little strong. Well, the Palestinians said that, hey, last Saturday, I'm not going to take it anymore. And a lot of people from around the world stepped up and said that's true. But still, the Israelis, anyway, I'll say Israelis, they still continue to take Palestinian land. And that's just the fact of it. We have an invader. We have terrorists that the U.S. and its allies are backing, and they are stealing every single day Palestinian land. And they are trying to justify it by claiming that it's in the name of the Holy War. You're still, no matter how you justify it, you're still backing a terrorist organization. And that is these Yiddish people from Poland, Germany, and Russia. The Yiddish people are a bunch of terrorists, and they are stealing more Palestinian land every single day. And the Palestinians stood up, took a single strike, and it was, unforgivable hitting civilians. You shouldn't be doing that. As a military man, I certainly don't agree with that. But clearly, they were trying to strike back at a terrorist organization, which are the Yiddish people's government, and they hit civilians. But the Yiddish people need to leave the Palestinian land and go back to Poland, Germany, and Russia and stay there. I'm done.
All right. Angela? Angela? You're muted.
I guess I got some kind of delay in my system. I don't know. But I don't really have much to say on this. I don't have much to say.
Okay. Pamela?
The protest is going to continue as long as this war is going on all over the world, because people have loved ones all over the world. So as long as their family is in a war, regardless if they're in the United States, Canada, no matter where they are, the protests are going to continue, because people are going to stand and say, this is not fair. I don't appreciate y'all coming after my family. So the protest is going to continue on regardless what. So until this war cease, we're going to always continue on to see the protests.
All righty. Okay, we've covered all of the topics. It seems like we can't not talk about war these days, As I'm trying to find articles to talk about, it's really hard to find anything that's not in some way or another about the war, and I've tried to find other things to talk about, but that's really what everybody's talking about. So I guess that's where we are, huh?
overall, with our government, with on top of what is going on in Israel, what's going on in Ukraine, and soon Taiwan and China is about to pop off. For what I've been hearing, um, it is time for new leadership here in America. And the vacuum of the lack of leadership is causing all the strife that we're seeing in hotspots around the world. And and without telling the real truths about currently what's going on, the hotspots, and still living like we're in the 20th century, but we're in the 21st century. We're never gonna fix the problems if we're gonna still think we're in the 20th century way of thinking. That's why new leadership is needed. And it could be me, it could be anybody else, but it can't be Trump, it can't be Biden. It's got to be somebody new.
And you mentioned Biden and Trump. They've lived most of their lives in the 20th century. Like me, I had too. And it's easier said than done for a lot of people that, especially people in their 20s and 30s, which 21st century is pretty much all they know. But for a lot of us
Yeah,
old timers, it's it's been a rough transition.
oh yeah, it's hard for change. I understand that, but supposedly, if you have our leaders that are really, don't get me wrong, if you're really hard for that change to happen, but still in that power structure that you're in, you're supposed to allow the change to happen. But they're not willing to on both sides. And that's why we're so caught up right now. That's why we don't have a Speaker of the House. That's why, we can't give aid to even states that are in. We haven't gave money to Hawaii yet or Florida yet because we don't have a speaker. So it's oh no, we have. I think we have before the speaker. Maybe we have. I think it slowed down and stopped. I don't think it went through. But without real leadership to try to change the trend because of the older generation for the new generation to take hold, um, we're not going to fix the problems that we're facing. And I just believe it's going to take a real American story to really awaken those individuals that want to hold on, that are older, that will see that the younger generation is ready to take hold and take control and take the lead to fix the mess that they were unwilling to fix when they were in power. And that's how I see it.
We'll see how it goes. All righty. Well, we've come to the time where everybody gets to tell the world what you're doing and how you're doing it, and what you want them to know. So, Tamala, would you like to go first tonight?
I am Apostle Tamara Lucas. I'm the pastor of Come Home, Stop Talking About It. It's an outreach ministry to help people who are in need. I don't have a lot of money, so please don't ask me for a house and a car. I don't have that kind of money. But I can help you with some clothes and some food and take you to different places. Oh goodness. Because people are bold. They will ask you for stuff like that. And I say, we need to go to Bishop TD Jakes and ask him for that kind of help. But besides that, I am an author. I have books for all ages, size, shapes, and everything on Amazon. And I have one song out. It's called When I Was Nothing, God Loves Me. And we got to know that no matter what's going on in our lives, if we repent, God will love on us. And I think sometimes we have been in a world where we have been told that if you could do something, God's not going to love you. But God loves all of us. So I just thank you very much for allowing me to be here tonight.
Thank you for being here. Angela?
But first, I want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to come on and share my perspective. I am. I was officially inducted into the International Internet Radio Hall of Fame for broadcasting on today. So
All
I
right.
will have my induction. They will be having a ceremony on December the 8th. Um, so I'm excited about that. When I first got into this, I never thought you talking about a little girl from the country. I stuttered. I had so many issues about trying to get my points across and just doing different things. And this guy, he saw me and he believed in me and he pushed me. And I've been doing this now for 3.5 years, and they recognize my work, and I'm just grateful for that. That somebody sees something that I'm doing. Like Apostle, I am an author. I am the author of 69 books, journals, planners. Number 70 is going to drop in December. Actually, 70 and 71 will drop in December. I am affectionately known as the Queen of Collaboration because I love to bring people together. I love to collaborate. I love to partner. I love to work with people. I truly believe in Jeremiah 29 and 11. We all have a purpose. We didn't get dropped out of the sky. There's a reason why we're all here. And sometimes we just got to find that common ground to where we can agree to disagree, but still be able to love on each other and work with each other. And I'm just grateful for this opportunity to be able to be a part of this amazing panel, to chime in. So thank you. And those that would like to follow me, support the things that I do, of course, you can check me out at www.linktree/Queen of Collaborations, and you can check out my books. You can check out some of my podcasts and various different things that I am doing. I am also the owner of a magazine, Aspiring Authors Magazine, where I truly believe in bringing awareness to brown authors and touching on those topics that people like to brush under the rug that affects our brown community. So I am a voice for my people. So that's who I am. Again, thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Steve, and the panelists. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you. Lamar.
Thank you, Steve. Hi, my name is Lamar Callahan. I'm the founder of tutorsforyou.org, and we provide live online tutoring. We we offer classes for children and adults for simply $5 an hour worldwide. We have classes from accounting to yoga, from preschool to college prep, 30 different language classes, including Spanish, um, Tagalog, Twi, uh, American Sign Language, just to name a few. We have classes in finances, computers, special needs, mental health. We have well over 100 classes. The backbone of our system are our tutors. All of our tutors are experienced teachers. So if you know someone who needs some special help with tutoring, come to tutorsforyou.org. For $5 an hour, you'll get a experienced teacher. So if you can afford a cup of coffee, you can afford to get an excellent education for your child or yourself. You have a blessed day and look forward to see you online.
Thanks, Lamar. Michael.
Well, thank you, Steve, for allowing me to be here with you and the other panelists on the show. Thank y'all. Great show. Great discussion. Great conversation. My name is Michael D. Landingham. I am your next presidential, well, sorry, uh, the presidential candidate for these United States of America, your next president for 2024. I have a story that can awaken the American spirit pertaining between me and Donald Trump for the 2020 election and now for 2024. I have an active $2 billion lawsuit, Landingham versus Department of Justice. And I would use that money and that lawsuit to run for president to awaken the American spirit, to show that there's a new way to come together. Blacks, whites, Latinos, Asian Americans, everybody in between, even politically, even spiritually. Because we have gone astray, because our leadership has led us astray. And we need a change. Landingham for president, the people's candidate for the people's justice, will display a new way for change for all Americans. We have to find a way to come together and let go of past arguments. And I realize that we're all God's children and we all should be treating each other as the same. I ask for your support. Check out the Party of We the People, Landingham for President 2024 on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Twitter X. Just Google my name. You'll see everything. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless the free world.
Thanks, Michael. And I'm Steve Holder. I'm your host. I'm an author, podcaster, and minister. And I don't really mention enough, I guess, my street ministry called Last Call Outreach Ministry. And we take Bibles and things downtown and give out to people on the streets. And in the wintertime, give out blankets, and, we give out food sometimes. And it's not always to the homeless, but they are a large part of it. So that's another thing that I'm passionate about. So I'm that out there for a change. Everybody, thanks for being here tonight. Always good to see you, and always good to hear what you have to say. I'm proud of all of you for what you got going on. So keep up the good work. Thanks everyone for tuning in to the Night Crew, and we will be with you the next time. So good night. God bless, and take care of yourself and take care of each other. See you soon. Good night.